put it on the agenda for tonight?
Yes.
For discussion?
Yes, I think it's just for discussion, not that we're doing anything, just to open up the discussion a little bit on the council level.
Yep, that would be great. So,
Okay, so Val's making that motion, is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we have discussion on the Fair Rent Commission.
Old business.
Item C.
Under old business, it would be
F.
old business F.
Old business?
For
F?
F.
Okay.
I'll second the motion for item F, Fair Rent Commission discussion.
Great. Open discussion, does anyone want to talk about that right now? Or we're just talking about the motion, putting it on the agenda? That's the motion. All right, let me just call, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing that, okay, hearing no opposition, let's put it on for item F under old business, Fair Rent Commission. And it's just discussion today. There's much to be talked about. So thank you so much, everybody.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'm sorry, were you finished?
I am finished.
Okay. So I had something for Councilmanic Communication.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So yesterday I had the opportunity, and along with Councilperson DiPaolo, and Mr. Palmieri, and Mr. Chaplinsky, and Mr. Morelli, and along with you, Madam Chair, to attend the 9/11 memorial service down at the memorial in downtown Planceville. And once again, very moving ceremony. Great job by Mr. Matthew and Mr. Mikas and Mr. Kurtz, who headed up each year. And our Southington Police and Southington Fire Department and Madam Chair had some very nice words. It's so important that we remember the tragedy that happened on 9/11, 2001. So I just wanted to just bring it up tonight and talk about that. I really enjoyed it, as usual. And it's something that has to happen because we have to remember that horrible tragedy many, many years ago.
It's such an honor to be there. I'm sure all of you that were able to be there agree. It's, you stand with our veterans and our police and our fire and the Knights of Columbus, and it really is just humbling, to say the least. So thank you very much, Mike. Did you want to? Yes, Paul?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just continuing on the discussion on the Fair Rent Commission, Councilperson DiPaolo and myself, I think it was just the two of us, right? Yeah. The both of us attended as delegates of the town council the town hall that was held by Congressman Larson and Senator Blumenthal. So we appreciate their attendance in hosting the feedback session at the Congressional Church downtown. It was well attended, which was really nice to hear a lot of the people talking about their personal experiences, which was what the congressman and the senator had asked for, and we heard a lot of good perspectives that we can consider as we move forward with the Fair Rent Commission. And as far as our discussions, we all received the toolkit,
Yes.
which is really good. I thank the town manager and the town attorney and you, Madam Chair, for forwarding that along so that we can all consider the key elements of this toolkit as we move forward as well. The last item I wanted to mention, I wanted to say thank you to Mark Ramsey and the entire Leaf team and the volunteers at the Leaf Farm in town. Yesterday was the second annual Harvest Hoedown, which was a kind of a farm-to-table event that's meant to fundraise for the Leaf program and also the agricultural education activities here in the town of Southington. It was, again, well-attended. I'm going to say there was maybe 125 or so people there. It was a great event. There was live music. There was beanbag tossing competitions, great food and drink, and, of course, animals and getting a chance to see the farm. Really great event, and I encourage folks to get out there and see the Leaf Farm if you haven't, and participate in a future Hoedown if you can. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else have any? Yes, Val.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to follow up too on the session on this past Saturday. Just wanted to thank Senator Blumenthal and Congressman Larson for coming to Southington. It's great to have people of their stature get here and be able to listen to. There were a lot of people there from some communities, and what's important too is that I think Senator Blumenthal made it very clear that this is a national issue, really, with some of these businesses that are buying up the mobile home parks and looking to make some money. So, he was able to give some insight. Obviously, maybe there will be more legislation coming down the road, in the state that could help out with this as well. But just really want to thank them and thank all the residents that did get to the church to be there. And just one other thing, Madam Chair, I think everybody did receive an email from Danielle Dutcher about National Service Dog Month in September. So, being a dog lover and dog owner, it's so important, for, we know with the canine department and things like that, obviously. But there's people out there that will adopt, not so much adopt, but foster the dogs that are going to become service dogs. And that's a tough job. It's a difficult job to train these dogs and to get them ready. So she had just reached out to us, just asked if we would recognize, that it is National Service Dog Month. And, I thought that was a nice
Excellent,
request, and we should do that.
It was wonderful, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Chris.
Just a couple items. First of all, I want to thank the town manager. A couple meetings ago, I had mentioned proper signage for the parks with the new ordinance. So Mark shared a proof. It looks great, so I look forward to seeing those in the park, and I want to thank you for your efforts with that, just to make sure we communicate and take a proactive approach to let residents know.
Yep.
And the other thing, Tom and I have an apple harvest meeting Wednesday, but we're getting into that season, so I wanted to just share one thing because the deadline will pass before our next meeting, and that's for our students in grades 4, 5, and 6. Our annual Granny Apple Contest is open now. So students in grades 4, 5, and 6 can write an essay describing why their grandmother is special to them and why they think their grandmother should be the Granny Apple for this year's festival. And again, the only reason I mention it tonight is because entries are due by September 21st, which is prior to our next council meeting.
Right.
So I want to make sure residents know if anyone's interested in doing that.
That's great. That's great. I'm really getting excited about the Apple Harvest Festival this year. I think it's going to be fun. Anybody else? Yeah, Jim?
Thank you, Madam Chair. A few weeks ago, I got a email or a text message from Councilman Chaplinsky letting me know that there was a young girl in town who was going to have brain surgery and that people were planning a car parade to wish her well. And several people showed up that day, and I wanted to thank Valentine the Clown, who volunteered at my request and for supplying me with a duck suit, a Donald Duck suit. Also, it was a tremendous outpouring of support. Her schoolmates, neighbors, family, and friends all showed up. And I just want to say that our prayers, the entire council's prayers and best wishes are with her and her family, and we hope that she has a full and speedy recovery. And that's Mia Falvey. Her parents are Mark and Shauna Falvey.
Yes, sure, of course.
Can we also recognize, thank you to the town manager and the chief and the police officers also who came for helping us coordinate the right location and staging for that as well. It's not easy to imagine, 100 cars, let alone also manage that and ensure that traffic is still flowing and everybody's safe. So we appreciate on short notice their help and support to get that done. Thank you.
She was shocked and extremely appreciative. It was wonderful.
Wonderful. Anyone else?
I forgot
Chris.
one more good
Yeah, go
news
ahead.
thing that I forgot. I just want a special congratulations to Lynn Pulowski, who's one of our librarians in town, for winning the 2022 Innovation in Outreach Programming Award, which is a nationwide award. And this was for her plan in implementing an innovative or creative outreach program for the Southington community, which has a measurable impact on our town. So I just thought that was great to recognize her for receiving a national award and
That's
bring it back to
wonderful.
Southington.
Very good. And I wanted to mention one other thing also, and you brought up the police department and their service during that day that we had the parade for Mia. But also on the other side of their job, there had been a burglary in town, and the police officers responded with a canine and and I guess I can say the business was at the new mill, and they all got there, and the canine cornered the alleged perpetrator.
Suspect.
The suspect, thank you, yeah. And one of the police officers went right in the pond, up to his waist in the pond, and they caught the guy, and so we'll see. He's charged, but we'll see how that goes. But it just goes to show you there are two sides of the police officers. They are, and the firefighters, I might add too, Chief. That there's that side of them that is so community minded, but don't mess with either the Department of Police or the fire. So I just wanted. What's that? Or the canines, for sure. Thank you so much, everybody. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to reports of special committees. Open Space Committee.
Thank you for the.
Yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jack.
Yes, I would. Thank you. So I want to first mention. I'm echoing.
No, you're not.
You're not here. You're not, Jack.
Maybe because of the microphone.
On my end, I am. Okay,
Yeah,
so
turn off your volume. Yeah.
So I just wanted to bring up again. We don't have a liaison for the Historical Society. So I know me and you spoke about that, and I was just wondering if there's anything that we could obviously move forward on, and obviously make sure that there's somebody there representing the council.
Yeah, thank you, Jack, because I did understand, I heard all about the meeting at the Historical Society, and I want to just say, when I stepped back, when I became the chair of the council, I said that it was going to be too difficult, but we have not been able to find someone on the council. And so if there is anyone on the council who wishes to be liaison to the library, we can talk about that after the meeting. The second thing, I was really very excited when I thought you were going to do it for us, Jack, but that's all right. The second thing I want to say very clearly is that we are available to hear and listen. I know they're in the process. I called Phil Wooding today because I heard about this meeting and that there were some folks that were angry with me for not being there, but I had already told the board that I was not going to be able to continue. But if there is anything that they have a question about, if there's some way, and you're on the board, Jack, because I know that you also mentioned about calling me, and I appreciate that. So if there's anything that we can do while we're waiting for a liaison, or, I'm open to having a member, Phil, or someone from the board of directors to come periodically to the town council. If Mohammed can't get to the mountain will go to Mohammed. And so we really are open. We want to hear from them. I certainly want to hear from them and see if there's anything that we need to partner with. And that's always been the case with the council. And so I would hope that you'd bring that back, Jack, because I know you're on the board. And as I said, okay. So,
I guess my only concern is that I know you mentioned about me being the liaison. I just think that, again, me being a board of director and the liaison,
Yeah.
there'd be a conflict
There would
So
be.
I guess I would refer that to our town attorney. Because, again, obviously I'm there. I don't mind helping and coming back to the council, but I just don't want to get into any issues as far as, again, being a board of director
Yeah.
as well as on the council, and then being a liaison for the council. Again, I just want to make sure that it's transparent and there's no conflicts there.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Perhaps after the meeting, you can give Attorney Riccadone a call, and you guys can work that out. We're certainly open for that. My initial thought was, and what we talked about, you and I even talked about it, that if you have two separate roles, and if you're sitting on the board of directors, you have one role, but if you're a liaison to the council, it is a little different. So I would refer you to Attorney Riccadone, and the two of you can figure that out. And if there's a way that you can work it out, that would be wonderful, Jack. If not, then we will certainly open up the floor always to the Historical Society. They're the keeper of our artifacts and of our history. So we want to make sure that we're doing all that we can to preserve those facts and those and that history. So if you would just bring that back to them, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll bring it back to them. And then also, I just want to mention Sunday, September 25th, the South End Schoolhouse is going to have an open house from 2 to 4 p.m. It's the first time we've opened it since the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, everybody's encouraged, and all the residents are welcome to come down to South End Schoolhouse.
And that's on September 1, September 21? 20,
September 25th.
oh, I'm sorry.
4 p.m.
Okay, very good, thank you. Oh, yeah, it's a Sunday, yep, very good, thank,
And the last thing the last thing I wanted to mention is I had a listening event last week on September 7th with Val. Apollo, she came down as well. It was a great opportunity, so I just want to thank her for attending, as well as all the residents that showed up. It was a great opportunity to be able to have a dialogue and brainstorm and come up with ideas and get feedback. So I just wanted to thank Councilman Apollo, as well as all the residents that showed up. It was greatly appreciated.
okay, thank you so much. Any other special committees that we want to,
I'll kick us off with the open space, Madam Chair.
yes, go ahead, please.
So just a couple items. The Open Space Committee has been fairly busy this year. In the last year or so, we did invest in the watershed property adjacent to Crescent Lake. We also invested in a property on East Street adjacent to Sloper, Camp Sloper. And there is an agenda item on our list later on for Burritt Street. So this parcel is adjacent to Panthorn Park, and will expand our footprint there and secure open space in that area into perpetuity. Lastly, there's 2 events going on. The month of October, we will have our scavenger hunt in our open space. We are working with town staff to get some information on our website. It's going to be there's going to be some items that we will hide, and we will be encouraging people to get out in our open space and hike certain parcels where there's trails. So look for more info on that. And then I wanted to thank Jen Klock, who's agreed to help us with the month of October. There's going to be late in October, we agreed, Chris, right, would be after the apple harvest. There's going to be a tour of the historical parcels in town, as well as our key open space parcels, especially some of the new ones. So more to follow on that at our next meeting on the date, but that's going to be the 3rd or 4th week of October. We will give a couple buses and give people an opportunity to get out and see some of the historical pieces in town, as well as open space parcels, and we'll give you a brief history of them.
Terrific. That's
Thank you,
great.
Madam Chair.
Very good.
Before Jim or Chris, anything else on open space?
We're good.
Thank you.
Were you going to also talk about the SOCA event?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, please do.
that was wonderful.
Incredible.
That was wonderful. Diane McDevitt, thank you so much. Diane Thompson, thank you to her and the entire SOCA team, as well as Alexandra Anderson and her sister, who were guest speakers, primarily her sister. There was a Ukrainian women's fundraising event for the Ukrainian women artists at the SOCA event. It was extremely well attended. And I know that a number of people here had gone. There's a number of art pieces from dolls to necklaces and bracelets to paintings and drawings. There's some books that are on their way. And SOCA did a wonderful job of helping to promote these fine Ukrainian women artists who are featuring their pieces in an effort to help them fundraise, for the things that they need as well. So a great collaboration.
Yeah. And all the artwork will be on display, and even the little things that were handmade for sale will be available at SOCA, I believe, until
Through
October.
the apple harvest.
Yes. Through the, I was going to say through the apple harvest.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's like October 6th,
Middle
I think.
October, yeah. So, but I would encourage anybody who can to get there and just, and it was so moving. It was incredible. So, thank you.
Thank you for reminding me, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any questions for open space? Hearing none, let's go right into Public Works.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had our meeting last Wednesday, September 7th. A couple of items to note. The parking lot that is going in at Animal Control is being staked out right now. And there was some discussion about currently tying the facility into municipal water. So we discussed that with Mr. Arndt as well. A couple of updates on the parks. The pavilions at Memorial Park are now completed, and they look great. Encourage everyone to drive through and take a look. Ms. Turnquist indicated that they're working on draining issues up at the lacrosse fields at Panthorn Park. And I know there was some discussion either here or through social media with regards to some of the trees that were slated to be taken down at Recreation Park. So they revisited. There were about 33 trees along the exit, and some of them are diseased, and they would have to come down. So our tree warden took a better look at it, and were able to possibly salvage most of them. But the ones that are coming down do have to come down because of the disease. And Mr. Czaplinski brought up a great idea that we should let folks know that even though those trees are coming down, we are having a planting that's going to happen eventually. So the trees that do come down, we will be replanting something there. So we're working on a plan right now for that. I'm delighted to report that 2 of the tennis courts at Panthorn Park will be converted into 6 pickleball courts. So we all know the pickleball craze throughout the nation. So I know there's lots of discussion with regards to adding some courts, some actual pickleball courts, instead of converting tennis courts into pickleball courts. So we're all very excited that the folks that go out and play pickleball, like Mr. Shoda, can show up now at Panthorn Park once they're finished to show his skills.
Courts are just too big for me.
I prefer ping pong, so less moving. So the water department had another busy week. There was a water main break up on West Queen Street last week. It's all repaired. The road is back open, but it just goes to show you our continual problem with infrastructure. Pipes are old. So I want to thank the water department for working hard, the police department, the public works department. They were out there overnight trying to get that road back open. So for over a couple of days, actually. So they all did a really great job.
Wonderful.
Any questions from anyone?
Well, there's something else under your Public Works.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so we had a discussion about possibly adding a building official as an ex officio member to the Public Works Committee. There's some information in our packet this week. I'm sure everyone took a look and read it. So any questions with regards to that?
Just for the public's sake,
Yep.
I'd like you to kind of explain the rationale.
Sure. A building official has never been involved with the Public Works Commission before. So adding this member will help us to try to determine at each meeting. We'll get information from this building official with regards to the goings-on at the building department. It'll be an opportunity for their delegate to be able to inform us on timelines of applications, what applications are coming in, how busy they are, how slow they are, just basically giving us an update, and then I'll be able to report that to our meetings here at the town council level.
So his position would be informational.
That's right.
Just like same as all
Ex
the
officio.
department heads. Ex officios, they do, and they give the monthly report
Yeah.
to that. And also makes it, we take, if you notice, we took out highway superintendent since we don't have a highway superintendent. So highway superintendent would be removed and building official would be added.
Very good. Any questions of the council on
Just
this?
a quick question. So would it typically be the building director or?
I spoke with several months ago, I spoke with the building official when we first started discussing this, and he's excited to go to give an update every month, so
Okay.
he's pleased about it.
Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? Very good. Well, thank you very much, Mike. Library Building Committee.
Madam Chair, we met with the state, Town Manager Shoda and myself, Mary Baker from the Library Board, to review the grant application that we had in place. And at that time, it was agreed that we were going to voluntarily withdraw from the grant. The discussion was around the fact that when we applied for the grant, we had a very specific size of the library square footage and also the book collection size. And that was literally at the bare minimum at the time that we applied. And because of the economic uncertainty we have today, there's no way we can hit that number. So again, I think we were premature in applying for that grant. So rather than take a penalty, we voluntarily withdrew. We have our next meeting scheduled for October 28th, so there's going to be a lag in the meetings. And during that time, the builder that we hired will be doing a formal budget so that when we do meet on the 28th, we'll be able to review the actual numbers and have an actual square foot size. Right now, up until last week, everything was preliminary, and so they had agreed that they would get that done for us by the 28th.
Very good. Any questions? Yeah, come on, Chris.
I attended the last Library Building Committee meeting, and I spoke a little bit to the town manager about this, but one of the things that was decided at that meeting was to change the location. Jim, I don't know if you want to talk to it, on the site plan itself. So I'm just concerned because if there's a better location, then why wasn't that the original plan put forward? And I know we spoke a little bit, but, I think it's important to share publicly, too.
Sure. Well, I'd like to elaborate on that. So it's my understanding that the information that we used to supply for the grant was a consultation, preliminary information. In other words, it was never the plan for the library. So that information was used, and it placed the library at the opposite end of the current location, the south side of the library, in a position where it was determined by the library board that was not the most efficient. The building committee had lengthy discussions about cost and size and location, and it was determined that the center of the lot, primarily on Route 10, would be the least expensive, most efficient site for the library. And so, again, because of the pressure for finances, it was decided that would be the optimal place to place the building. And again, even until the last meeting, we never really officially agreed that would be the site. So we did do that. Once we knew we weren't going to go for the grant, because the location was part of the grant, we didn't actually make the change until that last meeting.
Right.
So you saw that we had an official vote.
So I guess my question then is, wasn't the cost, the total price tag, wasn't that including the location that was in the plan that was submitted?
It was. So again, this was preliminary, 3 years old, the information that we used. So the size, location, and even the descriptive information was all aged.
Okay. I completely am in favor of the location. I have no objection to that. Again, my only concern was, why wasn't that on the original plan, if that's the best location? I also support, moving forward, getting better estimates. Again, I lived on a building committee with the town manager where you don't know what the environmental impact's going to be. So I know you took action on that, too. I support that, to get the cost estimates so that we can accurately gauge the price tag for that project.
Right.
Again, so my only question, like I said, was in relation to why the change, if it wasn't the best location in the first place.
Yeah, and again, I think that everybody really needs to understand that was not a formal plan that we had from the previous architect. It was the result of a consulting agreement for the library board to make a recommendation on what we could and couldn't do, or what we should do. So that recommendation was to put the library at that location. However, I believe, if I'm not wrong, there's a water detention basin there we put a lot of money into.
Yeah.
It was mainly cost, obviously.
Yeah.
To build it up against the building and put all the retaining walls in,
Right.
it would have really reduced the square footage. So I think,
But that's a good point. So then my follow-up question then is, if that's going to save costs for the project, what will that do for the overall price tag now?
Well, so again,
That's what you
why-
have in front. What was presented. We'll know more on the 28th. I'm sorry, Jim.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. So again, we had a preliminary budget, and we said, what's the biggest and best location that we can get with our money?
Yeah.
And it was determined that it'd be the least expensive to put it in that location. And so we're trying to squeak every penny that we can into square
Of course,
footage.
right.
And I did want to also, I didn't finish my report, and that was that, as you said, we did ask for a Phase 2 environmental study on the old building so we can further understand what the cost will be with that. And then we also are going out to bid for the test borings to prove that site is the best and most appropriate site. So two things that are being done in parallel to the costing are being done.
Complicated process.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to Jim and the entire building committee. I know it's a sign of the times. It's a difficult process. I'm thankful that you're doing a little bit more due diligence to understand, where we are and put as many facts in front of us, before sprinting forward. I think it's really important that we do look at the most efficient use of the property, and I'm thankful that if the decision was made to pull that forward for a variety of reasons, that's going to allow us to maximize the space and keep the cost in check. That's the name of the game right now. We're under a lot of cost pressures with the inflation that's going on right now, and I appreciate all of the due diligence you're doing to methodically step through this. So I know it's not easy. There was the preliminary architectural stuff that was done 2.5 years ago it was concept, and you can't do a quotation on concept. You have to have actual information to do Phase 2 studies and engineering drawings and MEP drawings, et cetera. And I think you're at that point now. So hopefully by the end of this month, we'll know more about what the costs look like, and then more educated decisions can take place. But until then, it's going to be difficult.
Val?
So I just wanted to ask, Jim, is the date, was it September 28th or October 28th?
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. It's September
It's
20th.
September
September.
28th.
Yes.
Okay.
And
So,
that'll be good.
for September 28th, we're going to know better, are we going to know better what the cost per square footage would be?
We're going to have a line-by-line budget with every item in that budget.
Yep.
And then we'll be able to scrub that budget and say, well, if we get rid of this and we add that, this is what we can do. So until that happens, we really are only guessing at the
Square
size.
footage.
Exactly.
So at that date, then, we're going to know better what we can be moving forward with for square footage.
Yes, we'll be able to have some intelligent conversations about, is a skylight worth two square feet or not, right?
Yep.
So every item will be looked at and examined, and we will crunch that budget. And we're going for the largest space we can get without sacrificing function in the library.
So I guess my question is, I'm just thinking of some of the public responses that we've been getting for the bigger space. If at that time, we're still looking at something that's smaller than what was proposed, are we as a council, are we ready to go to the Board of Finance, for example? Are we ready to talk about what would be the additional cost if we wanted to go to a special referendum?
Well, there's only, I think, if I could just jump in,
Mhm.
there's only so many places we can go for finances, right?
Only two, as far
Well,
as I know.
that's right, unless we have somebody who's ready to write the check, right?
Right.
So, so of course, we're going to discuss that once we have a grasp on what actually we have and how much it's actually going to cost. And as Jim said, looking at the plan line by line, what do they want to save and what they want to perhaps put off or whatever. I think then the discussion will be that, Val. Is now we have this, are we going forward with this plan?
Right.
Are we looking for alternate funding plans? Because there's, as you say, there's only two ways if we're gonna expand. But I would like to get them first to give us really what we have, and then we can intelligently talk about what our next steps are, because we've all heard everybody, and we all understand, and we understand that inflation is here. So, yeah, so that's a good point. But I think we do have to wait for that, and then at that time we can discuss it as a council after we kind of,
I think we need a good scrub, but we need to really know what we're talking about.
yeah.
And the cost at the time, right?
Sure.
I mean, now it'll be a little bit more timely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Jim? Okay, very good. Thank you, Jim. Let's move on to economic strike.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had our meeting last Thursday, September 8th. A couple items to note. I want to give a kudos to our the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Planning Department and Lou Perillo. Once again, a testament to them that Southington is open for business. I want to share a couple of items that came up at the strike committee, some additions to some industrial land in town and some businesses. There's an 1,800 square foot building being added to at Rogers Orchards for a cider mill. There's an application for a hotel that's coming in the I-2 zone on West Street. There's Kitchen Cabinet Outlet, a business in town, is doubling basically the size of their property in a business zone. Another application on 44 Robert Porter Road, Industrial Zone I-1, proposed 5,000 square foot building, and a 7,800 square foot building on Smoron Drive in an I-2 zone. So that's just a testament to the Planning Department and the Planning and Zoning Commission and Lou Perillo for working hard to bring businesses into Southington. Another item of note, Mr. Perillo spoke with the town manager in order to spur some development for industrial areas in town. It was discussed that we would do a tax abatement for 5 years for the purpose of municipal, industrial, road, and infrastructure improvements. And the strike committee heard the presentation, and we sent back a favorable, unanimous favorable recommendation for that to occur. So more to follow on that. I believe
That'll be, like everything else, this was after, obviously, we did the agenda.
Right.
So what'll happen is at the next meeting, you'll actually get the document that we're proposing. If you like it, we'll schedule for a public hearing, and then we'll have the tax abatement in place within 4 weeks.
and this is important, in order to spur development, we've got to offer some assistance. And, always been told sometimes you got to spend a little to make a little, so.
And remember, with tax abatement, Scienton's always done the same thing. The base taxes are always paid. So whatever's there right now is always doing that. We're giving the abatement on the improvements. So it's never, we're not, a lot of, where the big cities give you cash to come to, we don't do that. We always pay your base taxes, and the improvements are the ones we give the tax abatement to. So as long as the public understands, we're continuing that process.
Did I miss anything, Chris?
No, I just, again, want to tag on to what you said and thank Lou, because we really are trying to do everything we can to encourage businesses to move into town, so.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure. Any questions at all? Okay, let's move on then. Item 5, the town manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The chair of the building committee went through the first part of it, but I want to thank actually our library director who was with us during that meeting, and I also want to thank the state librarian. I got to tell you that it's the first time I've ever met her. Very intelligent, very professional, and was very informative to us. She taught us things about the state grant that I was not familiar with, and she was very frank. And also the director of building was also very frank, and they made it clear, as I think Mr. Morelli already said, that the 29.9 was, I think she said, skin of their teeth to grant us that. And in essence, she said in a very professional way, unless you come close to that number, don't even bother reapplying for a grant. So, and I went through the process with her, and all the questions that was asked of me, not only from this board, but also from the building committee and also from the library board. And they were very frank, and they simply said that this is a project which, if it stays at this particular square footage, they recommended that we voluntarily forfeit. They said there was no other path to go, made my life a little bit easier. And so therefore, on behalf of the council, I sent you the documents, both in my informational as well as the document I sent to the state, where we voluntarily forfeited. With that, Mr. Morelli is correct. That opened up the building committee to take some action, which was not able to be had until after the grant was forfeited. So answer any questions on that.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
It was very important that you were there.
Madam Chair, I'm
Yes.
sorry, just a point of order. I forgot that Councilman Perry was on the phone here, and I didn't ask him if he had any questions about the economic strike piece.
By all means, sir.
Yeah. Jack, I'm sorry. You didn't have any questions?
I'm good, you're
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, Mark.
All right. If there's nothing further on that, I brought this up at the last meeting. In front of you today is a change to our sewer ordinance. There's two sections that we're recommending a change to. The first one, perfectly blunt, was not enforced, and the town was never much enforcing this one because we felt it was kind of unfair. But someone who has a brand-new sanitary sewer system on site, and we bring our town sewer through, it used to be that you had 5 years to connect, or else we would go bring a lawsuit against you. We all know that our septic tank could last up to 15, 20 years. So at that point, we decided, instead of going that route, take out that section and then add to the other section, which is, if your repairs cost currently more than $1,000, you have to tap in. But we wanted to bring it up to speed because that number hasn't been changed in years, so it's up to $10,000. So therefore, let's think about it for a second. Someone's septic system fails. If it costs $5,000 to fix it, even though they have sewers in front of their house, they can still fix it. If it costs $20,000, then they're going to have to abandon that and tie into the town sewer system.
Thank you.
So I think it's fair to everybody.
I would like to hear, Bill, did you want to speak on this at all?
Yeah, no, I think it's one of those, it was 1998, we're using a $1,000 number. I think $10,000 is fair, and I think really, there is a public policy behind getting onto septic, or getting onto sewer, and I agree with that. But the issue here is that, one of the most common failures is your diverter box, and a diverter box probably was $1,000 in 1998, it's around $5,000, $6,000 now. So I think we protected ourselves not only for today, but for the next couple years, too. So I think it's one of those, housekeeping items, but it's going to help out someone from the community who's trying to sell their home, who doesn't have $40,000 for, to hook up if they live in, off the street.
Very good. Val, do you want to add anything else?
No, I agree. I
Okay,
agree
very
with that.
good. Okay, anyone else have any questions on this matter? Okay, hearing none. Mark, go ahead.
Madam Chair, I'd ask our new finance director, Mr. Bose, can you come up, please? Mr. Bose has been the comptroller for the city of Wallingford for many years. Before that, he was our finance director.
Like a bad penny.
I'm happy to say he also volunteered for boards in town, and he's been a very good citizen of the town of Southington, and I welcome him back. He and I worked together for many years ago, and I'm looking forward in our two new roles. Obviously, I have a new role, and now he is our finance director, so For many years to come, I welcome Mr. Bose, our new finance director. James?
Jim,
Tell us
thank
about
you
yourself.
so much.
Thank you, Mark.
We're very happy to
Appreciate
have
that.
you, Jim.
Thank you, Mark, very much. But I feel like Michael Corleone in The Godfather. Every time I'm out, they drag me back. But no, thank you, Mark, seriously. And council members, thank you for the invitation tonight and the welcome. I appreciate it. And I look forward to working with so far what seems to be a great staff up in the accounting office, very professional staff, and the department heads, a few of them that I that I have met. It seems like it's going to be a very, very, very positive experience, and I hope I've learned a couple of things in 31 years of doing this, and hopefully can assist the town manager, the council, finance board, and the other department heads, hopefully to keep this town a great place. My wife and I have called this town our home for the last close to 28 years now. Our children went to schools here, as Mr. Palmieri knows. There was other folks on the council that I think I've gotten to know, Tom, and of course Vicki. I've known you for 30 plus years. So I thank you, and we're gonna do our best. So if you have any questions, unless you ask me like real detailed stuff on the budget, I haven't barely found the men's room, and I call it the new town hall building because it's all pretty brand new up there to me. But anyway,
Well, we're
if there's
very
any
happy
questions.
that you're here, Jim, and you distinguished yourself your first run, and so it only goes up from there. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate that, Madam Chair. Thank you.
care.
And
Thank you, Jim.
thank you, council members. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Madam Chair, this is kind of a bittersweet moment for certainly me and most of us. This gentleman has served the town of Southington for 30-odd years. Started as a lowly volunteer, and now he's way up there and made the chief. He's done a fantastic job with our fire department. Personally, he's been a very good friend to me and my office. We work very close together, but I'd like to have him come up. Chief James Paul, please step up.
Forgot to mention one of the all-time great mustaches.
But those who don't know, obviously Chief Paul is now a retired Chief Paul, and from the Southington Fire Department. And once again, please, Chief, let us know your thoughts and anything you want to say. The floor is yours.
So first of all, thank you. It's only been the weekend, so I'll let you know in a couple of weeks. Hasn't really settled in. Really, the first one I need to thank is my wife. Ellie sits behind me. She's been with me for 30 years. She's wonderful. We have 3 kids. You've heard it all before in public safety, how much they've suffered with me on the job. But they are true heroes along with everybody that I got to serve with. I have had the great privilege to work with an unbelievable staff. The leadership that is going to continue is wonderful. They're beyond educated and experienced, and I'm going to sit back and really watch the department go forward, which is just going to be an outstanding experience. I have had a great opportunity to serve for a couple of years as chief with all of you, and I'm proud of that. I think we brought the department forward, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I like to think I'm still young, somewhat.
You started, yeah.
Right, in my mind. But I'm just excited for the next chapter. So thank you for everything, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Good
luck.
Thank you so much. Ellie, thank you. Ellie, thank you, because you stood behind him the whole way, and that's not easy, I'm sure. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Chief. You know, that's one thing about the fire department. They don't serve alone. Their whole family serves with them, yeah. Thank you so much, Chief. You will be missed, but...
Madam Chair, that's my report, and we do not have executive session tonight.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Town's attorney report, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first item on my report is nothing new to this council. At your last regular meeting, you sent over the Burrett Street parcel, which Councilman Chaplinsky referenced earlier, to the Planning and Zoning Commission for review and approval. They approved it unanimously at their last meeting, and it's in front of you tonight for action to formally approve the contract to allow Mr. Shota to sign it on behalf of the town, and then for the town to close on it. The second, any questions on that?
Anybody have any questions about Bird Street? Okay, great.
The second item on the agenda is a little of an outlier. Typically, my office with the assessor and Mr. Shota negotiates and handles tax appeals. However, this current tax appeal from Lake Compounds requires by state statute the town council to vote on it. In your packet is my recommendation to approve the proposed settlement with Lake Compounds for their personal property taxes for 2 years. It's a $7,500 abatement for each individual year, so $15,000 in total. That's an abatement. It's not a reduction in the assessed value at all. So it's a pure cash $7,500 coming off of the town's bottom line each year. It has the full support of our outside counsel, who is very well versed and has represented Bristol as well as us in Lake Compounds issues in the past. And I'm asking for this town council's support, and so I can settle the case. I'll take any questions, otherwise that's everything
Any
I have.
questions, Val?
Madam Chair, Alex, just a quick question. So in your memorandum, it says the $7,500 per year tax abatement, but the judgment, the stipulation, does not say per year, and I don't know if that needs to be corrected.
So it's they reference the 2 years.
Yeah, just so that it's clear that would be, that would be to our benefit, obviously.
It would be, but so under paragraph 3, they reference the October 1st, 2020 and the October 1st, 2021.
Right,
I
so
will-
you feel comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with it, but I'll
okay.
have our council add in some language to make it very clear that it's
Okay.
$7,500 per year.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that was just they threw a number at them, and,
I won't get into litigation strategy, but we proposed that number. They didn't, and they accepted it.
they accepted it. Okay, great.
And it's something that we all feel from the town side is extremely fair to the
Fair,
town.
yeah.
And it's much less costly than litigating this.
Litigating it, right,
at the end.
right. No, thank you. I think it's good.
Bill?
I apologize, Alex. I know you offered an opportunity for us to ask this, but I'm just more out of curiosity. So what is the theory of obsolescence in connection with, like, amusement parks? What is, I don't I see the statement here, but give me what is it? Like, why? I know it's a novel theory. There's no case of, like, what is it? It's just that amusement parks are going down, or is what?
No, the argument is, and it's only been recognized in a handful of states, predominantly California, because they have a lot of amusement parks there, is that amusement park rides deserve a faster depreciation than any depreciation of any other item, almost like a computer or something that goes down really quickly, because they have to keep rebuilding rides in order to keep the public engaged. If they don't keep putting new rides in and replacing them if they don't keep cycling them through, then their attendance and their attractions are going to drop. So that's the argument. It's not recognized in Connecticut whatsoever. There's nothing in the statutes that recognizes it, nor is there anything in case law that recognizes it. So we're purposely, in the stipulation, talking that this doesn't apply to it at all. And the statute that we're using only applies to 2 theme parks in the state of Connecticut, Lake Compounds being one, Lake Quassabog being the other. So it's a very novel, and that's why you have to vote on it.
Any other questions?
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's move on to public communication. We invite any member of the public who is a Southington resident to come. Please give your name and your address, and we're very happy to listen to you. We won't dialogue with you necessarily unless we have to, but we appreciate all of you coming. Hi.
Margaret Lewis, 391 Bellevue Avenue. As I come to these meetings, I learn new things, and at the special meeting of August 30th, I think I learned that if referendum-approved money needed to be used in a different way than the original referendum had proposed, that there would need to be another referendum. For instance, if If another referendum would then be needed if a renovated existing library with an addition costing approximately 17 million were to be built, another referendum would be required. And if that's the case, then surely another referendum is required for a new library of 24,000 rather than 30,000 square feet. That reduction of 6,000 square feet uses the $17 million in a significantly different way than the original referendum proposed. And apparently the State Library Board thought so too. So it seems to me that another referendum is required, hopefully to be held in the early spring of 2023, so that we could submit another grant request to the State Library Board in June of 2023. And given that, I would hope that you would scope out and cost 3 alternatives and then decide which of the 3 is most likely to pass a referendum vote. I think the 3 should be cost assessed using the same criteria, and all should include some contingency funding. As people have pointed out, we can't predict what the future will hold, so contingency funds are important. So the 3 alternatives would be: build as much new library as you can for $17 million. It may be a library of 24,000 feet, might be less once contingency funds are figured in. 2, build an addition and renovate the existing library to a size of 30,000 square feet. And 3, to build a new library of 30,000 square feet. I really appreciate the work already done relative to the first alternative. The drawings were very helpful, and you were already engaged in the additional action of re-estimating the costs, and to use those same cost criteria for the other alternatives, and make sure that we include contingency funding. And I would really hope that you would get new drawings for the second alternative to renovate and expand the existing library to 30,000 square feet. And then when estimating the cost, consider that the cost of a renovated square foot may be less than the cost of a new square foot, especially given the increasing cost of materials. This alternative may cost more than $17 million, especially when including contingency funding, but maybe not. And similarly, then the the alternative for the new 30,000 square foot library would need to be recosted using the same costing estimates and the contingency funding. And we already know that'll cost more than $17 million. So it would really be helpful to have the research and the cost estimates for all the alternatives to be as transparent as possible. And if an alternative that requires more money is and a referendum as required, the folks will know why. Will know what they will be voting for in that referendum. I do appreciate all the work done so far by the library board, the building committee, and the town council relative to this important project. Given COVID interruptions and impacts, I'm hopeful that you will spend more time to bring a researched and passable new option to the public for referendum if necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Peg. Would you hand that? Oh, I'm glad. Yes, please hand that in. Thank you so much.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Kenneth D. Delory, 43 Riverside Drive, Southington. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak and for your service to the community. And Councilwoman DePaula and Chairman Chaplinsky, thank you for coming to the meeting with Senator Blumenthal and hearing the concerns of residents on this, what's becoming a national issue. I want to give a little history here. Park residents first appeared before this council to advocate for creation of the state-mandated Fair Rent Commission on July 11th. By August 15th, we didn't warrant an agenda item, so we showed up with approximately 70 people that night. This past Saturday, we turned out 175, 200 people to fill the basement room of the Southington Congregational Church. So thank you for adding us to the agenda tonight. Some perspective on timing. Tonight, residents of the River's Edge Mobile Home Park in Beacon Falls are attending their Board of Selectmen's meeting because they are on the agenda after appearing for the first time last month. I know that because I was there. Sun residents in Killingworth, Connecticut, first attended their selectmen's meeting in mid-April. The Board of Selectmen, including First Selectman Nancy Gorski, voted in August to send the completed town ordinance on to the voters for a townwide referendum. I don't know the exact date, but it's mid-October. That's 6 months from the first time somebody appeared to advocate for it in Killingworth to a town vote. I just want you to consider that. I know that there's lots of concerns about process and liability. I hope that we had answered some of those at the last meeting on September 5th. So again, I don't think we're asking for anything to be moving forward that some smaller towns can't move on, are moving on much more rapidly. A question, I don't know if you'll entertain a question. I was told at the meeting that was mentioned earlier, Friday, September 5th, that no one from the town had talked to Sun Management. Is that still true, to your knowledge?
Excuse me?
I did not.
No, I did not either.
Okay, so that, because I've been told that somebody did, I don't know who it would be. Can we expect an agenda item next month and a report on progress on this Fair Rent Commission issue?
Yes.
Okay. So then, last point is a reminder. Sun residents pay the taxes that Sun pays to the town through our land rents. This is no longer a Southington headquartered, family-run operation. It's based in Michigan, and I think our residents believe that your interest should at least balance the tax-paying residents, because we pay the land taxes are paid through our association fees, and we pay taxes on our individual homes. And we don't put a burden on the school system, and I don't think you could say that we have the police out there very often, unless it's for an ambulance call. Finally, there are 500 to 600 homes in the Sun communities. I estimate that means between 750 and 1,000 voters who are paying attention to this issue and who will vote next fall. I don't know if you have any questions, but we're a 55 and over park, and we're not looking for you to act as anything other than a neutral arbiter to protect us from some of the, you guys heard some of the places that are much worse than what we're experiencing, and we're just as scared they're going to use that as a yardstick going forward. I don't know if you have any questions, but I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you.
I'm Loretta Giddix. I live at 34 Red Oak Drive in Southington. I'm going to give you a little bit of the personal part of this rent commission. The current owners are imposing large rent increases on existing senior homeowners, simultaneously reducing the services they were promised when they bought into their communities. These are things like repaving of roads, repair of septic systems, drainage issues, tree trimming and removal, and many maintenance services. Though these are referred to as 55-plus communities, they consist mostly of elderly people, population seeking affordable retirement as they live out their lives on fixed incomes. Now, many are finding they can no longer handle the increases when their incomes are being absorbed by medical insurance, prescription drugs, gas, groceries, utility bills that are skyrocketing. Least of these is Medicare. Everybody says, well, you're getting an 8.5 raise in January. They'll take half of that for Medicare. They do it every time we get a raise, so it's nothing. Anyway, when passing the flyers out for our meeting that we had Saturday, I met a lovely woman who has lived in her community for 48 years here in Southington. She said to me, this is a wonderful idea, but it's unfortunately too late for me, as my rent has gotten too high, so I had to sell my home and move in with my son. There are many other people in this position who don't have children to move in with. where are they going to go? Is the city of Southington going to build and maintain housing that they can live in? Are they going to live on the street? There are many people that have been there for 30 and 40 years on fixed Social Security. I can't even imagine how little that is from 30 years ago. They're going to be put out. Now, it's too late for this woman, and I just wanted to say, give the importance of doing this in a timely manner so that not more people are going to have that story to say that they were put out because it was too costly for them. I don't have a lot of confidence in how much the city commission can do because the commissions that have been made so far in the other towns don't seem to be having too much of an impact. I am putting my faith in the state, as in January they are going to propose a legislation to put a cap on what Sun can charge us for this year's rent. We're hoping that someone is going to propose it, and I hope that you will hopefully be behind them, and if you got your commission together, you might even be able to help them. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Batiste Zombic, 40 Richmond Court. I was here last year about the library, and then just hearing what was talked about earlier as a CPA, I am flabbergasted to think that you put in front of the citizens, the taxpayers, a referendum to vote on that was based on budgets, not even budgets, estimates, grand ideas, line items that were not completely tied out. That's just, as a businesswoman, that is just appalling to me. So these are my concerns. When we do a referendum, it goes to the Board of Finance, they approve it, yay or nay, and then when it comes to town council, you put it up for referendum, and the citizens, it's basically an up or down vote. I'm either voting for, not 17 million, let's be honest, add in the tax, add in the interest. I'm voting for 21 or 22 million for a library, or I'm voting for nothing. We never see the other side of the picture. My husband contacted one of the members of the Board of Finance to say, well, what would be the cost of renovating the existing library? Oh, I'll get back to you. We never heard back. And I wonder how much personal bias came into play, because I know some of the members of the Board of Finance wanted the new library. So are you voting and doing what's in the fiscal best interest of the citizens, the taxpayers, or are you allowing personal bias to get involved in the situation? Too few citizens really knew what was going on. You don't have a lot of people that come to these meetings. You have even fewer that come to the Board of Finance unless it's for the Board of Ed budget. So I know myself, I knew nothing about the library till it was in the paper, had passed the Board of Finance, and was coming to you guys. So there's not enough information out there. And we weren't given an alternative, and we had a member of the board of the library who created a PAC. That really blew me away. A PAC to advertise and promote this very expensive library that, in my opinion, we don't need and we can't afford. But there was no offsetting alternate voice out there. In politics, you always hear both sides of the argument. There's really no both sides of the argument being heard here. So again, it's I'm either voting for $22 million on a 30,000 square foot library that this little town doesn't need, or I'm saying, poo on you, you get nothing. There's no information being given out there for us to make a really solid, well thought out decision. So as you're looking at this again, there are questions I have. How many citizens, how many taxpayers use the library on a regular basis? Is it 50%? That's okay. Is it 20%? Are you asking 80% of the citizens to pick up the tab for something that only 20% of the citizens are using? Who's actually using the library? And what is the purpose of the library? I remember in my day with my kids, when they were little, it was all the little toddler stuff to keep your kid busy while your other child was in school. And then when my children got older, it was Boy Scout meetings to work on his Eagle project, or for my daughter, it was tutoring. If that's the primary focus, then the library should be created, and the library we have could be reconfigured and renovated for a much better price to serve that need. People aren't going to the library for books. You're doing your research online. Even back when my daughter, who's now 26, when she was in high school, she had a research project. We're part of the Interregional Library Council or organization. So we sent to East Hartford for the reference library books that she needed, and they came here. So it's not like we need stacks and stacks of books anymore. So what is the library really being used for? And do we really need 30,000 square feet? And again, as my other taxpayer said, what is the cost of renovating and upgrading the existing building, expanding it, making it ADA accessible, making it have what we need, but not spending $20-something million, which I'm sure now is going to be probably closer to $30 million. I am the controller of a manufacturing company. My purchasing manager buys a product today. He's quoted a price today, and he's told, doesn't mean that's going to be the price when it ships out the door in 6 weeks. So given our current situation, and I don't see it getting better anytime soon, what is this going to cost? And can we really afford it? Especially given what's coming down the line, which I think is maybe still out there in the conversation, is all the elementary schools that need to be renovated. So you've got elementary schools that need to be renovated, some of which, again, you're saying beyond renovation, tear them down. That's another $150 million. At what point do you make this town so expensive that you've priced out the lower and the middle working class citizens? I look to you to be fiscally responsible. I am fiscally responsible. I am fiscally conservative. It is very upsetting to me to think that as much as I struggle and keep my house in order, I am living in a town that spends money without really thinking, is this, as my father, my late father who was a banker would say, there's what you want and there's what you need. We may want a 30,000 square foot library, but do we need a 30,000 square foot library? I know I can't afford any more property taxes.
Thank you so much.
Regina Coviello, 12 Beecher Street, and I was not planning anything. I don't have anything written. I just have some papers that I'm going to look at. And every one of you that talked, you're all right. Every single one of these people. And if you notice, our meetings are getting bigger, and more people are coming out, and that's really important. And I probably hit almost every one of these conversations somehow. It's, you know. But earlier, you were talking about the library. If you go on the Southington Public Library site, they date, and they put, I can read, but I can't see with these. They put the dates of papers, every article that went in every paper before the referendum, everything. And there's also, and I can actually give this if you want a copy of this, that states the ordinance that will be set before a referendum. It says the square footage, it says the amount, it says everything.
Is that the actual referendum, Regina?
That's the Southington Library, that's what's supposed to be coming forth. As people said, I don't know what the actual, I don't know where to find the actual referendum.
There was no square footage in the referendum.
Okay. Again, you keep saying there's no square footage. These are all of our public library's papers. Every single paper that every citizen in Southington saw before this was that. So tell me what that is. Why does the public library have that as an ordinance in their files? That is going to be set forth as a referendum. Bottom line, I don't feel that you should go through with anything until it gets back to us. Back to us. And I'm going to tell you, if you think the people that voted yes, think about this. If you think the people that voted yes are going to be mad because they're not getting what they want, think about the people who voted no, that didn't even like that figure. You might want to think about that, okay? I'm not going to get into more than that. Just the other thing is, if you look at other towns, we know. We have 40-something thousand people in this town. Plainville, they got like 18,000, and they already have a 30,000 square foot library. Wallingford, 44,000. They have a 68,000 square foot library. Bottom line, I think you guys have to start thinking what the people are talking about and listening to what we're saying, because it is getting frustrating. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council? Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Bill Majak, and I live in the Sun community at Two Meadow Road. I moved to Southington 2 years ago from New Britain. I downsized. I was looking for a home that I didn't have to climb stairs, that was affordable in my price range, and I wound up buying a new home on Two Meadow Road. And I enjoy the community very much. It's quiet, it's peaceful, people are fine, we can walk our dogs. Compared to where I lived in New Britain, it's a different planet. My question is, at Saturday's meeting, after the meeting, someone said to me, I don't know if it was Dave or not, that Sun Communities did not buy Jensen. They merged with them. And I don't know if that is true or not. And that they merged into some intermediary corporation. And then that intermediary corporation merged with Sun Communities. And my question is, Sun Communities, which is headquartered in Michigan, acquired the 3 communities here in Southern, and that's a lot of land, a lot of property. Were there any type of conveyance taxes or conveyance fees paid by Sun Communities to Southington?
Madam Clerk, do you remember?
We were looking, this gentleman here was in researching that, and we did not find anything that showed that they paid conveyance tax.
You know, we're looking at a lot of land, and there's a few dollars there that, if there are applicable conveyance fees, they should be paid to the town of Southington. So that's all I have to say, and thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Is there anyone else?
Art Watts, I live in Sun's community, and as last week, you saw all the people that came down for Saturday. Now, these are only the healthy people. 2/3 of the people couldn't make it because they're in wheelchairs and handicapped, no rides. So, I mean, these people need help. You know what I'm saying? It's just a shame, you know, one guy, he's in his bed, he wanted to be pushed on here so he could come in. But, you know, that's not necessary. But I think, you know, you got to think that these people need help. They're only making $1,200 a month. Okay.
Thank you so much. If that's it, I want to thank everybody for coming. All of your comments are taken very seriously, and we appreciate you coming out today. I'm going to close council matter communication at this point in time. And let's go on to old business. Action, item A, action on scheduling a public hearing. Code changes to section 345-32, mandatory connection to public sewers.
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
I'll second, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I recommend that it be September 26th at 7 o'clock.
Okay, September 26th at 7 p.m. We have a motion. We're still in our meeting, please. Madam Press. Madam Press. What's it? Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Is there any further communication? Are there any further comments on this? We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
DiPaolo?
Yes.
Dietrich?
Yes.
Lombardi?
Yes.
Morelli?
Yes.
Palmieri?
Yes.
Perry?
Jack, are you on?
Yes.
Okay.
Chaplinsky?
Yes.
Del Santo?
Yes.
Triano?
Yes. Passes unanimously. Item B, action on the 824 proposed for open space Burt Street contract.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the 824.
Thank you, Paul.
I'll
Is there a
second.
second? Thank you, Chris. So we have a motion and a second. Any comments on that? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please move it? Move the motion. Move it.
Read it.
DiPaolo?
Yes.
Dietrich?
Yes.
Lombardi?
Yes.
Morelli?
Yes.
Palmieri?
Yes.
Perry?
Yes.
Chaplinsky?
Yes.
Del Santo?
Yes.
Triano.
Yes. Item C, action on Burritt Street contract.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the contract, please.
Okay.
Second, Madam Chair.
And there's a second by Mike Del Santo. Is there any comments?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd just like to make one comment and thank the DiAgostino family for their willingness to work with the town to preserve this land. I think it's, the price that we had and the discussions that we had were fruitful, and I think that this is a testament to their willingness to preserve what I would categorize as very important land for the town of Southington. So thank you to the family.
Very good.
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Just want to thank the Open Space Committee and Mr. Chaplinsky, his crew there. They're just killing it with the open space. It's good stuff.
It is good stuff. All right, could we call the roll, please, Madam Clerk?
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Dedzek,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Chaplinsky,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
Triano.
Yes, thank you. Item D, action on Festival Fun Parks LLC, General Statute Section 12-81P, tax abatement.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Madam Chair.
Okay, there's a second. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, and because it is about a tax abatement, Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask you to call the roll again.
DiPaolo,
Yes?
Dedzek,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Morelli,
Yes.
Palmieri,
Yes.
Perry,
Yes.
Chaplinsky,
Yes.
Del Santo,
Yes.
Triano.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Item E, modify the town council's policy and procedures to add a building official to the Public Works Committee as an ex officio member.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a second?
I'll second, but can we also modify this motion to remove the highway superintendent?
As presented would work out perfectly.
Okay.
As presented.
Okay. As presented,
I'll
I'll amend my motion.
second.
And you're going to second it,
Yep.
Chris. Thank you so much. Is there any further discussion on this?
It's just for the record, it's presented in the packet, so we do have it in the packet.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, I think we could just do a voice vote on this. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition?
He's
Yeah, that's a yes, Jack. Thank you so much. That passes unanimously. Item F, discussion on Fair Rent Committee. We're going to have a bit of a discussion this evening. This is not something that's on the back burner. I want to make sure those that are involved in the Sun community understand that we are working very hard. One of the things I do want to say is that this is not a narrow spectrum of commission. This is a very broad-based commission. We have, I found some statistics, and the average size apartment in a rental space in Southington is 750 square feet. And the average rent is $1,421. 16% in Southington are renters, and that equals 2,696 households. The rest, of course, are owner-occupied. I say that because it is so important that we get it right, and I think we all want to get it right. And rather than rushing and putting something together very quickly, we do need to go step by step. There is no hesitation. We all want to do what's right and fair to all of the citizens in Southington, which is over 43,000 people at this time. Our objective, as I said before, is to make sure that the renters are treated fairly, that the landlords are treated fairly, and that we protect the town from litigation. So I want to open it up for discussion if anybody has anything. As Paul said, we have sent out the whole packet for the Fair Rent Commission to every member of the council. Our next meeting, we will have very detailed discussion on it, things that are important for each one of us. Now, we may disagree on something, but I'm committed, and I think all of us are committed to finding a structure that we can build upon to go forward. I know if people are waiting because they're afraid the hammer's going to fall with an unfair rent, we will get to that, and we will, and you will have opportunity should that happen prior to us passing our actual, because we also have to go to the Ordinance Committee as well as public hearings, and as I said, with this many people, we have to be fair for everyone. So, so I want to just open it up right now, just preliminary discussion. We all got this today. I made sure I asked him to get it out to every one of us. Town Attorney Riccadone, would you like to address any of this at this time?
Absolutely. So, I do have some concerns, and we do have to put this in place. Just as a housekeeping issue, several people on the town council have come to me and asked about conflicts of interest in voting. And over half the town council has self-reported to me that they either own rental properties outright or have an interest in some sort of rental properties. I'll say for the record, I also have rental properties in Southington. So I've discussed with the town manager, and we're going to get an outside opinion from an outside of Southington attorney to give us a full ethics review on what we can and can't discuss and vote on. I don't know. I haven't done a deep dive in it yet, but I want somebody who's totally independent from this forum to give everybody a full opinion, because I know that's important to a lot of people on this commission. And just the one thing that I will...
Alex, can I have a question on that?
Absolutely.
Madam Chair, if that's
Yes,
okay?
of course, go ahead.
Can you also make sure that when you do that, Alex, that you're also, in the discussions of the requests, it's not just council for discussion and for voting, but also the ordinance committee? Because I think, there's going to be people who may get involved at the ordinance level that have not only just input, discussion, and then voting as well.
Correct.
So there may be different levels of engagement in different boards. Thanks.
And then the one thing I will talk about is the statute itself has two parts to it. There's a mandatory part, which every town has to adopt certain parts, and then there's permissive parts, which the statute allows the towns to adopt. And just so this council's clear, there's three things that you have to adopt by next July. The first is you have to start a fair rent commission. The second one is you have to have the number of people, the members, and the term length. And the third is you need to identify the language in the state statutes when you create this commission. So those are the bare minimums you have to have. The bare minimums which the commission is empowered to do are three things. They're to make studies and investigations, conduct hearings, and receive complaints relative to rental charges on housing accommodations. Those are the three things that you cannot divert from. You have to empower the rent commission that you are going to create to do. Everything above that is permissive, and this body or the ordinance committee will make recommendations on what you want to empower that commission to do.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you just make sure when the transcription goes that those items are really verbatim in our minutes, if you would, because that's very important. Thank you. Anyone else have anything to say?
Madam
Val?
Chair,
Yeah.
I just wanted to maybe bring up a few points that I've just been thinking about. So I guess, though, Alex, that raises, the conflicts does raise a question. So I wonder, because it does raise it at the council level and the ordinance committee level. So can you look into maybe what other towns our size have done in order to set up their commission?
With respect to conflicts or just what they're doing? Just like a general
I think the
report?
first step is, we're at a point right now where we need to even get the commission established. So if there's going to be conflicts, we have to address that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So my recommendation is before you take any substantive discussion on it, I'd want an opinion letter, just to protect everybody.
So who is that going to be from?
Mr. Schroeder is recommended an outside Southington attorney that I know very well. Plainville, the Plainville town attorney, who we're going to ask to review and draft that for us.
Okay.
Before we get off, can I just ask a related question?
Of course.
What happens if the majority of the town council, who is the governing body, I mean, this is news to me, hearing you say that there's that many people with conflicts, but
I
what
don't know if they are
happens?
conflicts. Potential conflicts.
We don't know if it's a conflict.
I'm already on
We
the
don't know
committee. I can't go.
Right, so we don't know if it's a conflict.
We don't
Number
know.
one. So
And
let's.
but my job is to protect this
you're-
body So
You're going to, so we get the opinion letter. I mean, hopefully that doesn't take too long.
I'm going to ask for it expedited.
Yeah, okay.
And
Because that's
myself,
important.
I don't know if I have a conflict, so that's why I don't want to
Oh
give
my
a lot
goodness.
Right.
I want to give the bare bones to you and not give anything past bare bones.
And can I ask, the statute, is it for residential only property?
Yes, not commercial.
So it's not commercial. Okay, so that helps. Okay. So, I mean, just my thoughts on this from being at, being at the couple of meetings that we've had, being there on Saturday at the, with Senator Blumenthal and Congressman Larson. I think that the toolkit that's been passed along, I think that helps to alleviate some of the concerns that we have as far as being fair to landlords, being fair to tenants, liability. We heard from the attorney in our meeting that, he's been doing it 30-plus years, and they're minimal appeals. So I feel much better about, that whole issue of whether the town would have liability. I think one of the biggest things for our town would be that we would have to maybe have a staff person, right, that, would have to be involved with this commission if the commission is busy. That there could be some costs and things like that. But as far as liability, I feel much better that there really should not be a huge liability to the town. And Vicki, to answer, I think if you look at, if everybody's able to go through the model ordinance and really read it, and then really look at the annotations, because when I looked at the ordinance, there were some things in there that, could be concerning. Then look at the annotations, then we can maybe have some discussion about, okay, just as an example, maybe we want a 5-member commission versus a 7-member, or that's kind of a simple thing. But, as an example, the factors that are used to determine if rent is excessive, how much weight
Does
would
the
be put in
committee-
each. Well, it's basically the annotations say, it's kind of a common sense, it comes down to common sense for the commission. And the rent has to rise to a level of being harsh or unconscionable, so that's a very high standard. The other thing that I've thought about is, we have this situation with Sun Communities. That's a very specific situation right now.
Yes.
It is a national situation, it's going on, and I do think we have an obligation to move this in a timely manner because of that. It is impacting a number of residents in our community. So I do think we try to move this in a timely manner, taking everything into consideration. If you take out that population, right, and now you set up this Fair Rent Commission, in some of the research I've done, some of these commissions hardly ever meet.
Right.
Okay, because
Only-
it's
only if
only
someone
if
has a
necessary.
problem.
Right. So, remove that we have this going on right now because we have the mobile home parks in our town. I think we have to just remember that this isn't going to be. I don't think it's going to turn into a commission that is going to be. People are constantly going to be going there for. Excessive rent. I mean, people can try, obviously. They can file a complaint. But the commission is going to have to look at that based on what language is put into place and say, your rent is fair,
I think I think that's very true, Val, and you and I share a lot of feelings on this. But I do want to make sure that the structure that we agree upon is broad-based, so that we're not going to have 2 fair rent commissions. We're going to have one, and they're going to handle folks that are in mobile mobile home situations, and also those that are in rents, and whatever the policies that we put together must be viable for all of them. Bill, you had your hand up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to Val's comments, I just want to kind of maybe help frame the argument, so I'll make maybe a counterpoint or a different argument. So, again, this is consistent with the way the state of Connecticut, the General Assembly's been legislating. So, it was similar, accessory dwelling units, marijuana. They kick the can to the municipalities to make decisions on a local level. And that's fine, I understand that. It's like a third level of federalism now we have. But really, the common theme, the people I feel most bad for are the Sun community. I mean, really what's going on is you have corporate money squeezing individuals, but they're using the municipality to say, fix the problem. And they're giving us this legislation which is just being rolled out and said, fix the problem. Really, this should be done at the state level. The state should say, mobile home communities and leasehold interests, because it's specific. You can't take your mobile home and move to a different community. You have to stay where you are. You're essentially kind of stuck there.
Right.
So at the state legislature level, fix it there. I mean, I'm just framing the argument. We're gonna talk about it a lot, but
and the legislation is, it's
yeah,
going to be proposed.
They should
It's
say
gonna be
you can only
proposed.
do it at the state level. It's just unfair to us to push it to us now. And these poor people are coming here on fixed incomes.
Right.
It's not the person who's paying $1,500 and the rent's going up to $1,850, and they can just get another job, move. I feel bad for these people, but again, I feel like it's the state pushing it to us. We're debating it here. We're spending our time, and it's unfair to us. That's kind of how I feel the debate should go.
Well, I understand that point, Bill. I just think that the state, legislation sometimes takes a while at the state level. So if it's being proposed in January, it's being proposed, and it may help the mobile park homes across our state.
We certainly hope so.
But
and maybe
it
we
does
should
help.
hear from our state delegates.
Well, we can hear from our state delegates, but we don't, we heard on Saturday from Senator Blumenthal and Congressman Larson that that's another avenue. The Fair Rent Commission is just one tool, right, for people, for landlords and tenants. It's not going to be the fix-it for everybody. The legislation hopefully will help to take care of some of that, but I think just in general to have a fair rent commission in your town is not necessarily bad. I think maybe we should have had thought of having one before this, but now we're obligated to do it.
And we are
We're gonna
focused,
do
and
it.
I think everybody's on the same page that we want to move forward. Some of the specifics we may differ a little bit, but I think we're all on that.
And
Is there
Madam Chair, if I
anything else?
just one quick thing though, this toolbox was created by, some pretty smart people, so I don't want us to just try to really spend the time recreating the wheel. I'm not saying we have to use it verbatim, but a lot of the work's been done. So I really think we should, it's been researched, the sites are there. One thing I think they should have in here probably are definitions. I think that would be a good thing to have, but I don't want to see us spend a lot of time recreating it. I think that there's a lot of work that's been done here that could help it to be fair for both sides.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to speak? Jack, did you want to say anything?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. All right, thank you, everybody. What I would ask you to do is, Chairwoman, I would ask you to read over all of the information and be prepared next time we get together to kind of hone in on a few things. Just in our discussion here, I'm sure that there are different sides of everything that we're going to be listening to and hearing and discussing. So if we could at least do that, just keep a copy of the packet of information that we all received. Thank you. Hearing nothing else, we're going to move on to new business. Tax refunds. Jack, do you have them, or does somebody else have them?
It's Jack.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the tax refunds that are in our packet.
Very good. Now we have a second by Bill. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the tax refunds are approved. Appointments, item B, Ethics Board, 2 members for 3-year terms.
Madam Chair, I'd like to propose 2 names. I'll put forward 2 separate motions. The first would be for Mr. Joe Markley.
A second, Madam Chair.
Joe has served 1 term and partial 1 term, and so he would be eligible to serve a 2nd term. So we have a name and a second. Is there? It has to be a Republican based upon the makeup of the Ethics Board. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Is there anyone opposed to Joe? Hearing none. Tom, go on.
The next member I'd like to put forth is Mr. Joe Pugliese.
A second, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Again, this is a matter of Republican appointment. All those who are in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The second item is the seat commission for members, 4-year terms expiring August 2026. It was just a matter of finding a BOE member to it, and I spoke with Colleen, the chairman of the Board of Education, Colleen Clark, Mrs. Clark, and she suggested that Mrs. Carmody would stay on the seat committee for another 4-year term.
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
Okay, there, we have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone else? Okay, very good. Any opposed? None? Very good. The third item is the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Just for, all 4 of those were your motion, and all 4. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Our Board of Assessment Appeals, there is an opening, and do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to table that
Second.
for the next meeting.
Okay, I have a motion to table. Is there and we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any opposition? Okay, very good. We'll take care of that at our next meeting. May I have a motion for adjournment, please?
Make that motion, Madam Chair.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for coming, and thank you, Jack, and thank you, everyone who's here. Appreciate it.
Hit the red button, please, Tom.
Bye, Jack.